So, welcome back to another episode. Now, if you look up here, I've taken a little strain off Double Dungeons, holding everything up, and I brought down my strategy guides, and I did an episode on strategy guides probably 7 or 8 years ago. Really, it's been that long, and I thought it's just time to update it and to really have a more in-depth look of some of the strategy guides I bought over the years. And the funny thing for me is, back in the day, and still up to now, I buy strategy guides because I feel that they're part of the game. It's not necessarily that I need to use them. It's more like I'd go back in the day and buy an RPG, like Lost Odyssey, and I'd buy the strategy guide because it felt like a package deal to me. Because I enjoyed the game so much, I wanted the strategy guide as like a side companion, a bit of collecting, I guess if you want to call it. And just because I love the game so much, so I just thought we'd look through some of my strategy guides today, and some of them are from like 20 years ago. It's crazy. So let's start off here, and this one's in a nice bit of plastic. It is my Final Fantasy strategy guide for the NES game, the original, that was released by Nintendo Power. And I picked this up maybe around 6 years ago. I got a pretty good deal on it. I can't remember how much I paid, but it was like maybe about $30, which is not too bad for a guide that's so old. It's probably worth a little bit more now, but really happy to get that. And look at this. I tell you, if you go visit the bins in some conventions, I got the Ninja Guide and the Strategy Guide for $5 here, which is a really good deal. This is one that I really wanted, and I didn't know there was a strategy guide for it. And it was when I was down in Philadelphia. We're looking down in Game Junkie, and Alpha Mega Sin had this, and I was like, "Oh my God, you have that?" He's like, "You know what, dude? You get it." And I'm like, "Oh God, yeah!" And it's really nice. It still has the poster. It's intact. I'm a big fan of Luigi's Mansion, the original on GameCube. A lot of happy memories there. Here we go. The re-release of Dragon Quest IV on the Nintendo DS. And I had to get the strategy guide. I had to get the strategy guide for any Dragon Quest game. That's without question. And I was really happy to pick this one up. Now, I'm going to be funny here. This is going to be a joke. I'm very nostalgic about the Nostalgia Guide. One of my favorite character designers, one of the character designers who did Far East of Eden, that series, they did a little known RPG on the DS called Nostalgia. And it's a very traditional RPG, and this is, why I sometimes buy these guides is because Nostalgia is a very it's not a well-known game, and I even knew that, and it felt like to get a strategy guide with my favorite character designer's artwork on it, and for such a very limited run game, I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Oh, here we go. Look at this mammoth, and it's so funny. I never ever used it. I bought it to be symbolic, and that is the Dragon Quest IX strategy guide. Another great, DS game. Wow. This is the game that I played with Kim, and it was a really wonderful game, but we didn't need the strategy guide. We just talked to our friends, played with our friends, and discovered the world on our own, and it was really fun. And as I say, you don't need strategy guides. It's just that I love Dragon Quest so much that I wanted the guide. A game that I was really hoping that I would enjoy a little bit more was White Knight Chronicles. I couldn't get with this game. I tried, and the funny thing is, me and Kim tried to play around 6 months ago, and it just didn't click for us. It's just one of those RPGs that you try to get into, and you're like, it was on the PS3, and level 5. You think that was a great thing. It was a valiant attempt. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of my friends enjoyed the online aspects of it, but not really for me per se. Another game that wasn't for me, but I did get the strategy guide, was Phantasy Star Zero. Now, I really tried to play the hell out of this game, and I remember sitting at the opening of Avatar playing it and going, this is not for me, and it just never was for me, but hey, I got the strategy guide, and all the artwork is really great. Now, this is a game that was for me. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. I had a major love affair with this game. It's my favorite Metal Gear game of all time, still to this day. the emotional impact of it. But yeah, this is a nice guide. This is a really nice guide. Fold out and art books in there. You got the actual strategy guide here, and you have your art book here. And yeah, I love these old guides. And the funny thing is, they don't make a lot of guides anymore. So if there's ever a game that I like, I'll always try to buy the guide. They just don't make them like this anymore. No pun, they really don't. Devil Summoner by Atlas. Had to snag this. Had to get this, and just to be able to look at it and see all the artwork and all that. And sometimes that's the only way that you can get an art book on this stuff without getting it from Japan, is, buying the strategy guide, because it has so much artwork in it. It's not just a strategy to beat the game. There's a lot of cool artwork, and I really enjoyed the idea of the game, so I had to pick up the guide. Now, here's one, and I know Alpha Mega Sin is going to be jealous about this. Wow, back when I was 23, back it was nearly 20 years ago, isn't that crazy? Persona came out on the PlayStation 1. And one of my favorite video game magazines, Game Fan, did a strategy guide on it. It did. And yes, here it is. It's very bare bones in the sense that it's black and white, and but it gives you a lot of the dungeons. And this, let me say, Persona is very, very hard. It is very, very hard. But me and Rob, back in the day, we've just loved Persona. It was so dark and twisted and evil, and we liked it. That's what drew us to Persona. But that's a pretty rare strategy guide from what I hear. And I know Alpha picked up Persona 2, the strategy guide, and I'm jealous about that. Oh my goodness. Good old GamePro magazine releases Street Fighter 2, the strategy guide, with their own version of the artwork, which is, But, for me, back then, I would pick up anything Street Fighter 2. Anything. I would, no matter what. It wouldn't matter what artwork it was on the cover. It said Street Fighter 2, I bought it, and I bought this. Some strategy guides I'm really happy I bought at that time. And I looked at this one, and I remember it being a little more expensive. I don't remember the price tag here. It was about $24. And that was for Rogue Galaxy. Oh man, I'm so happy I picked up Rogue Galaxy, the strategy guide. I believe it's a little expensive now. I'm not sure. I haven't looked it up in a few years, but like even at the back, there's so many great monster designs and stuff like. Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, very happy I picked this up, and happy to have it on the shelf. And Dragon Quest VIII strategy guide, PlayStation 2. How could you not? Oh, here's a guilty pleasure game. Here's a guilty pleasure game. I want to do an episode on this because there was a time in my life when I wasn't working, and I was kind of starving to do anything. At the time, I was looking for work, but when work wasn't there, I had all this free time. So I started playing it. Final Fantasy X-2 or X2, and I hate to admit it, but I like the game. I like the game a lot. I finished the game. And I had to pick up this. Look at these strategy guides they did back then. This is kind of like, this is by Brady Games, isn't it? Yeah, by Brady Games. The fold out where you get the guide and then you get the art book in this nice 2-for-1. And yeah, Final Fantasy X-2 is a little bit of a guilty pleasure for me. It really is, but I'm not ashamed to say that I liked the game. I played it at the time. It was just something I liked. A game I had high hopes for and was okay. It wasn't a bad game, but it was okay. Only Blue Dragon by Mistwalker. The father of Final Fantasy went on to do Blue Dragon with Akira Toriyama designs. This should have been gold. Well, it was okay. It was not so bad. Oh, Jesus, is cool. Memory Lane for me. Memory Lane. Dragon Warrior 7. When it was called Dragon Warrior 7 on the PlayStation 1. A 150-hour game, and a game that really, really used a lot of my time, obviously. It was nice to get the strategy guide for that. It's so funny. I was in the other room, and I was thinking, do I have a strategy guide? I don't know why, before I did this episode, I'm like, do I have a strategy guide for this? People ask me if I like Fire Emblem, and the answer is, fuck, yes I do. But my main love was for this game. Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance. A game on the GameCube. I picked it up and I'd always been interested in Fire Emblem. It was never released over here. And I'd played games like Warsong and Military Madness and Advance Wars and like a medieval, strategy game. I was really into. And freaking Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I'm so happy I picked this up. I'm so happy I picked the game up. It was a wonderful couple of sittings. I finished the game in a few sittings. I was that into it. What is this? Oh, just a Gears of War art book. I don't know how that got in there. Next up is Ys 6. I had to pick this up. It's great to, a strategy guide is also, if you're very nostalgic about a game, that you can just flip through it again and remember locations and places that you were at and monsters that you fought. That's also a big reason, and like characters that you played with. It's really nice for that. It's a really good memory thing, especially like for me picking up some of the strategy guides. Okay, this one's funny because this one is one I would never buy for myself, but my mom years ago was really cool and she was really trying to buy me some video game stuff, and she had no idea because I would never buy a strategy guide for Gears of War, but I was happy to get it. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Gears of War, I'll take that. Final Fantasy XI World Concept. This is not supposed to be here, but this is how much I was into Final Fantasy XI back in the day. Just for, oh my god, this is just the artwork. This is not a strategy guide. It's just in with the strategy guides. I've never talked about this game. Xenosaga 3. I liked 1, 2 was okay. 3 was unfucking believable. I love this game. I really, really like this game, and I always bought the strategy guides for any Xenosaga game. It was just, how could you be into JRPGs and really not do that? This is the Holy Bible for Nintendo. I've talked about it so much. The official Nintendo Player's Guide. Oh, look at this. This is funny. It's $33 Canadian. I've never opened it up. It is the Super Mario Galaxy Limited Edition Strategy Guide. I don't even know. I didn't buy it to, for it to be worth anything. I never thought that it would be, but I just thought, oh wow, it's a limited edition. I'm not gonna open it up. That's pretty cool to have. So, and we're moving on here. Oh, Lost Odyssey, a lost, beautiful game on the Xbox 360 that a lot more people should play and really should play again. This game is so good. And it's got the strategy guide. Got a bunch of Metal Gear art books. The limited edition strategy guide. It's still sealed. Okay. For memories, I remember walking into EB Games. That's a sad memory already. But I walked in there and Final Fantasy XII got released. And I got the game, the Steelbook, and I got the strategy guide. I remember, look at this strategy guide. Look how big this is. How huge this is. And I remember getting home and I was so excited. Now, this was a strategy guide that I did use. You can see all my little note things here. I did need to use this. And it came with, obviously, a great art book, but look at some of this stuff inside. What a really nice time capsule. And sometimes strategy guides are just really beautiful time capsules. They really are. Speaking of time capsules. Classic motherfucking game. Motherfucking crazy, awesome game. I love Xenogears so much. This game meant so much to me. I got it when I was in film school, and me and my friends would come into film school the next day and go, oh my god, I got to this place in Xenogears. And I remember I was sick in film school, and I really was sick, and I just sat and played it all week. Just lots of memories with Xenogears. Art. Oh, here's a good oldie. Wild Arms. I bought that right when it was out. I was 23 when this came out. But the only thing that's really bad with this guide is it's just writing. Like, did I have some notes in there? Oh, I just wrote in a gotta do, done. That's so funny, like quests and stuff like that. Oh, that's so funny that I even saw that. Wow. Oh, look at that, and little check marks and jeez, little things. I've done. One of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo is Final Fantasy II, which is 4, and that was for the re-release on the Game Boy Advance. I had to pick up the strategy guide. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Just seeing it being played on the Game Boy there, that's great. Final Fantasy VIII, a game that, some people love, some people hate. It don't matter. I like the game, and I love the strategy guide. Very happy to have that. Oh, here's a great game, too, that a lot of people have forgotten about. Brave Fencer Musashi by Squaresoft. Everybody forgets about this game. It's like an action RPG, and it was really a big deal back then. If you were a Squaresoft fan, you were playing Brave Fencer Musashi. Really good soundtrack as well. I was going to make a joke about black cars or, hey, mister, want to wrestle? Shenmue, the strategy guide. I had to snag this to be part of the collection. I didn't get it when it was originally released. I just seem to have missed it. And that was the thing back in the day. Games are coming out, strategy guides are coming out by the truckload. And I think that they overdid it. And then they lost a bunch of money from doing that because a lot of people were not buying the strategy guides. And so now they're very specific about the guides that they create. Here, Xenosaga 1. A lot of cutscenes, but a really, really enjoyable game. I loved it. The cutscenes are a lot, the story's a lot to absorb, but really good stuff there. Oh, here, my Versus Books, the original Final Fantasy Ultimate Guide for Final Fantasy VII. Bought that the day Final Fantasy VII came out. I was just like, yes, thank you, off there when I was picking up my game from EB. Another game I've never had a chance to talk about, Kingdom Hearts. I do like Kingdom Hearts. I did not follow the entire series, but I played the first one on PS2 and finished it. Really enjoyed it. Here's a strategy guide that did get a lot of use. Final Fantasy XI Online. This was one of the guides that would sit next to me at all times. And I didn't really need it, but it was just there. I used it a couple of times, but it was nice to have. Here's a strategy guide that, for a game, I didn't mind Xenosaga 2. It wasn't my favorite by any means. It was the one that I didn't finish. I finished the first one and the third one. It's funny because after 2, I was like, I think I'm done. But I did 3, and I was like, oh my god, 3 is amazing. 3 is really good, but not bad stuff. Oh, look at this. Ocarina of Time. Look at that. Strategy guide. One that was released on the Nintendo 64. You gotta love the little logo up there. It's kind of nostalgic to see that. Oh, this is great. Parasite Eve 2 Strategy Guide. Oh, did you guys enjoy this game? I remember picking it up with a friend of mine. Oh god, it was from like a department store. We were like, oh my god, there it is. It's out. I didn't know it was out. And we bought it on the Friday night. By Sunday afternoon, I was finished this game. That's how much I enjoyed it. A Xenosaga 3. Oh, I guess it came with an art book. That's really nice. Keep that over here, the art books. Oh, I remember this. Phantasy Star Universe. I spent way too much time playing this game. I liked it, but it was very, well, all the Phantasy Star Online games are very repetitive back then. But this one, I mean, I just kept doing the same levels over and over grinding. I wanted more diversity, but I really liked the game. I spent like 300 hours on it. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X. I picked this up the day the game came out and loved it. And just very nostalgic, right? Like, God, I must have been 28 at that time. Dragon Quest VI Strategy Guide. Oh, here we go. Zelda, the Wii version. What did I lose there? What did I lose? Oh, poster. Twilight Princess poster slipped out. Yeah, there we go. Zelda, Twilight Princess, the Wii version. Wow. I'm looking forward to the high def update. That'll be wonderful. Oh, whoa, I didn't know I had this. Final Fantasy VII. This is the Brady Games version. Really like Final Fantasy VII. And speaking of which, Final Fantasy IX, another wonderful game that Kim finished a couple of years ago, and I finished as well. And it was nice to watch her sit on the couch play this game. And I never brought out the strategy guide for her. She did pretty good on her own. Oh, on the GameCube, Paper Mario. That's really good. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Oh, wow, look at this. Yeah, I think I used this back in the day. I think so. Finished Wind Waker in a week back when it first came out. Oh, and here we're ending on a high note. Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics. This wasn't the great guide that I wanted it to be. It never really helped me out. I got to some levels, I'm like, I can't beat this boss, and it wouldn't give me any strategy. It was not a great guide, but I bought it anyways because I loved Final Fantasy Tactics. So, wow, that's a lot of guides to go through, and I have a bunch in the other room as well, but these are the guides that, these have been on the shelf for so many years, and I want to bring them down, and like, we're talking like over 20 years of strategy guides, buying for games that I really enjoyed, and there's a lot of strategy guides I would like to own. If I ever see them, if I'm at a convention, I'll go, oh, look at that, I'll try to pick it up. But yeah, I'm really happy to have all the guides that I have. So do you guys collect strategy guides as well? Is it part of your collection? Is it part of your fun of playing a game? You buy the strategy guide. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. So anyways, guys, until next time.